I wish I had learned this truth many years ago. Be thankful for the days, good and bad.
All right, we're back with another episode of Warrior versus Zombie, and I've got a guest here that, if you've been a regular follower, you've heard from before, Scott Schilling, and I'll introduce or reintroduce him to you in just a second. But for those that are joining us for the first time, or if you've forgotten, let's talk about what Warrior versus Zombie is all about. So success is a journey, it's not a destination. As warriors, we all have a history of ups and downs, wins and losses that all are part of making us who we are up to this point, and they provide a foundation for our path forward. We all battle our inner zombie as well as those zombies in our world, and in each episode I interview warriors who are aspiring leaders from all walks of life: entrepreneurs, artists, health practitioners, business owners, literally any inspired leader that has a story to tell. These warriors have a cause, they have a unique value and vision that goes generations into the future. And as I said before, this today's guest is absolutely no exception. Scott Schilling, if you don't know Scott, he's an amazing warrior. He's an executive vice president now in strategic partnerships for BeeKonnected. I'm sure we'll be spending some time talking about that today. An executive coach, international trainer, and speaker. And he brings a unique combination of his 35 years of life experience in coaching, sales, marketing, and training to corporations, business owners, entrepreneurs, and individuals. Presented to nearly 2,500 live events, sharing the stage with General Colin Powell, Suze Orman, Jack Canfield, Les Brown, formerly our former First Lady Laura Bush, and many, many more. As an internationally accomplished and entertaining presenter, and I can say that if I could say that, that would be good. He's spoken to hundreds and thousands of attendees across a range of industries. He brings a wealth of knowledge and experience to the airwaves, to the stages, just boardrooms, podiums, really wherever you want to hear Scott, you can probably find him. Fulfilling his life purpose to really inspire and empower others to serve humanity through living their life's purpose in spirit, love, and joy. And all that is true, knowing Scott very well. So Scott, welcome back to Warrior versus Zombie. And I'm excited to talk to you again and catch up from where we left off when you just launched your last book. So
thanks, David.
How's your world today going, other than our little challenge that we had with scheduling and getting this Zoom up and going and getting this thing? Life is about, as I always say, warriors, life is about both challenge and support. And we've already had a few challenges getting to the point where we can actually do this podcast. And, but it's all good.
Yeah, it is. Well, that's really the world we're living in today. If you're not adaptable and flexible, you're going to have some problems because things, there's nothing so certain as change, right? Things are popping back and forth very quickly, and you got to be a little bit flexible. And I abstain from using the most overused word in 2020, pivot, but you may have to reinvent yourself, and sometimes that's daily. So you just got to be aware of what's going on around you and go from there.
Amen. And I can certainly attest to that in my own life. We talked on your Scott Schilling Speak show, which I'll give a little plug for. That's pretty much a daily show, right? That you're doing these days.
I've moved in with this pandemic. I've moved into doing five shows a week, and a big part of that is because I can. Right? I mean, the reality is we've got the new BeeKonnected broadcast network, and we have the ability to highlight not only our members in our global community, but some other really amazing people. And there's no shortage of people who are working to do good work, but don't necessarily have the outlets to accomplish that. And so you can literally help other people accomplish their goals and create the ripple effect that way. So it's a different way for me to be able to be of service to other people by having the show multiple times a week.
Yeah, and actually, I'm always amazed as you and I have gotten to know each other how aligned we are on our journeys and stuff, and how sometimes I feel so insignificant compared to because so you're doing one every day with probably very similar intentions to what I'm doing with Warrior versus Zombie, where I'm featuring a warrior every week. You're basically featuring the same people or not the same people, but is people from our community and the people that are at least connected to you every day. So I mean, you're setting the bar. You keep raising the bar. I think, okay, I'm doing a weekly podcast here, and now Scott's doing one every day. I do every day, and I mean, I'm not that I feel like I'm competing with you or anything, but I do love your heart. I love the fact that just like this podcast, I'm always focused on the warrior, and it's about my guest, and it's not about me. And I know, having been on your show, it's not about you. So anyway, tell me a little bit more about what you're dealing with today. Any particular challenges, or are we ready to take a break and hear a little bit about what you've been doing since the last time we talked?
Well, I think people would be flat out lying to you if they didn't say they had some challenges through this time. It's interesting because I got a call just before we started recording um, by from our CEO at BeeKonnected, Tanya Hoffman, and she said, "Hey, what happened to those people that were going to join that all had COVID?" And I said, "It's too long a story to do in this call. I'll call you later." And the reality is, your your challenges today are different. It's like you're working in a sales situation or a presentation situation, and somebody says, "Yeah, I absolutely want to do that." Okay, get back to me on Tuesday. Great. You get back to them on Tuesday, and they're hard to reach or whatever, and you finally get through, and it's like, "Oh, sorry, I've had COVID, and I'm." I've been in bed for 18 hours straight. And it's like, so what do you do? Okay, that's great. Now that you're awake, go ahead and get enrolled. You just don't, right? It's a different kind of challenge. And then it's interesting because, the rules are changing so quickly. We're actually very fortunate here in Texas that, to go to the grocery store and to go out and about is less difficult here, I believe, than it is in so many places. But still, the rules change here. You've got to be so adaptive right now and so observant, and or you're kind of falling into the pity party. I was talking to somebody yesterday, and man, they were right deep in the heart of their pity party. And I said, how is that going to help you move forward? And they said, well, it's not. And I said, does it really feel that good? And they go, no, it sucks. I said, then why stay there? Do something to modify. So again, I don't think I'm telling my story alone. I think it's a little bit of everybody is facing just very unique challenges that many of us have not had to face in our careers. And all of a sudden you do. I mean, now, again, here we're pretty easy to move along. And there was a networking event last night, an actual physical networking event. And I was going to go to it. And all of a sudden I went, yeah, no, I just, because I don't know how many people are going to be there, how many people are really re-engaged. Let me take this one off and call some people after the fact. We're all adjusting like consistently during this period.
But you know what? Again, it's all about that. So let's take a quick break. And for those that are on the live audience or the recording, you'll see us right back again. But for the audio audience, there'll be a little bit of Ricky Jean Wright, and It's Not the Getting There, and we'll be right back, and we'll hear some more of kind of where the journey Scott's been on for the last year with Warrior versus Zombie.
But the miles become the teacher while the student learns real slow, traveling blind most of the time. wherever you go. It's not the getting there, it's the journey every day. It's not.
All right, we're back, and got a wonderful guest here, Scott Schilling, good friend of mine. And before we took the break, we were checking in and talking about the craziness with both technology and our world trying to re-engage, and who's re-engaging and how we're re-engaging. And the interesting thing is, if you're having warrior conversations with other people on the journey that are aligned with you, you're going to find that everybody's doing that, right? We're all adapting. You know, my son's getting people out of Afghanistan and the Air Force, and you know, there's all kinds of things going on in our world today that can be distractions, but we just deal with it. And we talked about people with COVID and people, you know, wondering what to do. And so, but let's talk, Scott. I want to remind the audience again of kind of where you came from to where you are today, and that's changed. I mean, knowing you and really being introduced to BeeKonnected by you just after the last time we had a podcast on Warrior versus Zombie. How's your journey been up to where we are today?
Well, it's been, you know, it's been different. It's been different than quote unquote the plan. You know, the day the pandemic hit, or the day that it changed my world completely. I was in Colorado Springs finishing up a training, and I got the call that said, well, once you get on the plane and make it home, the rest of the events that were planned are now canceled. And it was like what? Huh? And so again, that's where the reinvention comes in. You know, what the beauty is, we have so much technology now, and we just had to either make the decision to utilize the technology or not. Of course, we had just come out with BeeKonnected and started to grow that. So there's a year plus worth of effort there. But the other side of it is that the one thing that I kind of refused to talk about was the whole social distancing thing. I said, it's fine that we could physically distance, but we can't social distance. We're social beings. And so, quite frankly, for me, I stepped up my game with Zoom and, you know, even video calls, although I do actually still use my phone as a phone, unlike most people who use it as a texting device. I even have gone much heavier into Zoom communications or video communications just in my everyday conversations, because the communication is so much better. And quite frankly, we are social beings. We need the interaction. We need the smiles and the different things back and forth. So, you know, I reinvented. Yes, I had just launched a book. Well, it's hard to do a book tour if you can't leave your house. So that kind of came down, and the emphasis on everything being built around the book kind of got put to the back table for a while. It'll always be there. We can always bring it back up, but the plans that we had around that change. So it really came down to, how do we forward the efforts here at BeeKonnected, and also how can I forward some of my efforts as a coach, as a consultant, maybe doing training in a little different way, things like that. So again, I don't know anybody, and not a single person, that their world has not been turned upside down in some way, shape, or form through this period.
Yeah, I'd say there's no truer word spoken than everybody has been impacted in some way. And the fact that you had to adapt with the book. In the 5th episode, by the way, if you want to go back and hear that, it's an amazing episode. It was you can hear Scott's kind of aligns with, his story aligns with his book. So probably ought to get the book too. But yeah, it's been a fascinating journey over the last year and a half or so. What other challenges or we always talk about in this segment, zombies that we've overcome, and you shared some of the zombies in your life before, and I know, we won't necessarily rehash all those, but any particular challenges or zombies that you've overcome in the last year? I know a lot of people that I do a lot of coaching and counseling and everything else with clients and any particular challenges that you experienced over the last year specifically that you overcome?
Well, again, it was, I think the biggest one is thinking or feeling that everything was pretty well planned out to um, pretty much either having to put that plan on the black back burner or create a whole damn new plan. And that's it's actually one of the reasons why I do my show multiple days a week is because I get to talk to so many more people. And so what I found is that the business opportunities that you become aware of simply happen in the conversations. It's a different level of conversation. You work at it a different way. And I used the example not too long ago. On a Tuesday show, I had asked one of my guests, what's your greatest challenge right now? And they shared their greatest challenge. And on the Thursday show, I said to somebody, what's been your greatest success through the pandemic? What problem are you really solving right now? And it happened to be the solution to Tuesday's challenge. Now, the two didn't know each other at that time, and I didn't know that each of them needed it. So just by the conversations that were had on the show, I was able to match the challenge with the solution, put them together. And they said, would it be okay if we finalize this deal that we give you a little bit of it? I said, well, heck yeah. So the point is, all of a sudden, business opportunities are showing up in different forms. I think it's not necessarily the challenge side of it, it's the listening side of it. It's I think I've become a better listener over the last year, listening for those opportunities and those hints that people need help in certain areas, and then matching them with the people who can provide the solutions to those challenges. It's been very interesting.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it is fascinating to listen to you talk relative to what you're doing and with those conversations, because fundamentally, that has the power of that those of us that have been building in-person networking communities. It's actually the power of participating and investing in that kind of relationship where you're meeting new people every week, you're having one-to-ones, you're sharing, getting to know each other, you're talking about your challenges and the things that you can offer to the community. And we're making that happen, and I see you making that happen. You just described it very well. I see that happening all over the BeeKonnected community. A lot of people don't understand what it is and what the value is, because they tend to think of BeeKonnected in the same frame as Facebook or LinkedIn or any other what we would typically think of as a social networking platform. And it's actually, and this is just maybe my perspective, I'd be interested in your thought, but to me, it is a much more natural progression from those of us that have been local networking group of any type, meetup of any type, where you really are going a church. I mean, and I don't mean this as church, but I'm just saying where you're meeting new people, you're getting to know new people, you're hearing, number one, what some of their challenges are, because you get to know people, right? You'd start doing life together, and then you have this give and take, and you learn stuff. You learn, and then, as you said, sometimes business opportunities not only for you to serve the person that you're you're connecting with, but also to connect one other person to in your network to another person in your network that can actually be a win-win, be a win, so it's very much what I was teaching and promoting in the in-person networking, and we're actually making that happen using Zoom and those technologies and the BeeKonnected platform to facilitate that. And that's the thing I love about that. Well, let's do this. Let's take a real quick break.
Okay.
I'm going to come back. We'll hear a little bit for the audio audience with Ricky Jean Wright, and we'll come back and we'll talk about kind of where we are today, and we'll maybe connect those dots with where do we go forward, in your world, Scott.
Sure.
Whether it's BeeKonnected or anything else, if anything were possible, what kind of impact are we going to have? And then we'll land the plane right after that. Okay?
Sounds
All
great.
right. Let's take a quick break. We'll be right back. Hear a little of Ricky Jean Wright, and It's Not the Getting There, and we'll be back with Scott Schilling and Warrior versus Zombie.
How many people know your name? One day you realize time was worth more than the gold. It's not the getting there. When you get there, you'll know. Funny how wisdom and youth.
All right, we're back, and we've had an interesting conversation. This is our second time on Warrior versus Zombie with Scott, so we're kind of drilling down into some of the more current things and kind of sharing some of the connections with our story and some of our personal alignment here. And Scott, before we took the break, I said we want to talk about kind of where we are today, as opposed to how we got through getting to today, and then what is why do you keep doing what we're doing, the value that you see yourself providing, which I think is very powerful in this whole thing that we're doing. And then if anything were possible, what kind of impact would you have going forward?
Well, Dave, I think you started to say it before we took the break. BeeKonnected, there's a different feeling. We've created a worldwide global community. We're in over 74 countries now in less than a year. But it's the difference. And you said church, and you kind of pulled back from that for a second, but it's a different kind of church. I mean, the one thing about church is there's fellowship and there's camaraderie, and there's like a location where you go and you talk about the good, the bad, the ugly, the opportunities that exist, and you do it without pressure, without expectation, without whatever. And that's what I think BeeKonnected, as much as anything, is a global community. It's like a club. I mean, it's like why would you go to this place? Because you can talk to a friend who's also a member, Dave Roberts, and you can say, how can I be of service to you now? Or what's going on in your world? Who do you need to know right now? In other words, you're asking different questions. You're having different levels of conversation. When you got 2.8 billion users on Facebook, it's, this is a pure numbers game. Let me throw something out there. If somebody responds, great. If not, in other words, it's, I hate to say it, a little shallow. It's surface level stuff. And BeeKonnected has really become a place where we don't have nearly that many people, nor do we desire to, quite frankly. But what we do desire is to have some really amazing people like you and so many others that truly care about obviously growing their own business, but growing their business with respect to you growing your business, right? I mean, there's kind of this unspoken partnership or teaming up, or you could say it a variety of different ways. And, now that BeeKonnected really is four things: connections, which that's leads. Everybody needs that. Tools, that's efficiency or money savings. Everybody pretty much needs that. The BeeKonnected University, I mean, $45,000 worth of real world, take it to the street, make money now kind of courses. Quite a few people need that.
Mm-hmm.
And then it's the broadcast network that now allows us to either use text or audio or video or all three to communicate, to create a communications network, either internally or externally to you and an organization. It's kind of that one-stop shop of being able to take your business in a better direction for the fact that there are amazing members that are willing to contribute to your business. So, I mean, it's what a great opportunity for people. You know, I said with my show, as an example, going from a studio show to changing studios to going to the BK Broadcast Network, you know, $500 a show to $500 a month to $500 a lifetime. Which would you prefer? And also then you pick up the other benefits of when you get in that lifetime deal, you know, you kind of pick up all the other benefits of the connections and the people and the tools and the education. What's exciting about what's going on is more people are getting it, more big influencers are getting it, and the influencers are saying, why don't I bring my group over to BeeKonnected? Because I like what's being built here. This is a community. This is people who care about each other and want to grow business and want to monetize so they can take that money and do good things in the world. It's a great spot to be.
Yeah, and you said one thing. It's kind of fascinating when it's like when you're having these conversations, and I was listening to you talk, and you used the word users, and we were just talking about the difference between BeeKonnected and the other platforms, LinkedIn, Facebook, those kinds of things, and it just occurred to me in this conversation that in those platforms, it's like we are users. That was a term used for people who are addicted to things. And the use, it is, a lot of those platforms, they energize the zombie brain. They energize your habits. They trigger dopamine. Whereas in BeeKonnected and in your face-to-face networking groups, you're going there with intention. You're going, and the people that I found come there with an intention to serve.
Yep.
And to contribute, and then how that pays them back, as opposed to, I got to go check my Facebook, I got to go check my LinkedIn, I got to, go through these very automatic, user-like, addicted-like behaviors that then those platforms use to sell you stuff. Once they've opened up that addiction, then, when you do engage your frontal lobe, they're presenting you with things that, you react to in a way that maybe isn't of your intention. And so they're manipulating. And so it's just fascinating. And when you triggered in my brain when you were talking about, and you just used the word, which I've used thousands of times, right? But it just triggered in my thought when we were talking that's kind of the difference, is we aren't users of BeeKonnected. We're serving the BeeKonnected community with intention. And that's what you're doing. That's what I see you doing. And so if anything were possible, Scott, that's kind of because I know with God, all things are possible. Therefore, what would the impact be that you see for your efforts and BeeKonnected?
Well, I think that we, pull together a global community of 1 million, 2 million in the next year, 5 million in 3 years, of really quality people that have a desire to, again, make a positive impact on the planet by growing their business in such a way that it does it with quality, with respect, with integrity, right? That we build and grow businesses appropriately, not, be idiots about it, and really return respect, honor, and dignity to the planet. Be a place where people can go, where they really respect doing business again. And there's a little bit of the old school coming into play. Old school worked. Old school was okay. We can take some of the newer technologies and attributes and put them into old school. What a great combination.
Amen. Well, I used to think old school was a negative. Now that I'm old, I think old school is a beautiful thing. Well, let's do this. Let's take another quick break. And what I want to come back and just any takeaways that you want us to have, and then make sure I think the audience knows to stay connected with you, but we'll hit on that and then we'll land the plane. So with that, we'll come right back with Warrior versus Zombie, Scott Schilling, and let's hear a little more of Ricky Jean Wright.
Funny how wisdom and youth are always two different games. The years flew by so fast, is the common human complaint. The memories in our minds turn to diamonds in our soul, and by the grace of God.
All right, we're back. And Scott, it's been a good journey here. Hopefully the technology has cooperated enough that we've got a good replay here of this, and we'll get it out there for those that weren't able to join us live. So if I were to take away anything from today's podcast, and I remember you in your episode 5, which I would encourage people to listen to, it was kind of the takeaways and the 5 things that questions you asked, you should ask on any time when you're dealing with stuff. But today, what would you want us to take away from today's podcast, if anything?
I think understand that anything's possible, that because the world is in a little bit of a flux, we can rewrite our future. We always could write our future, and we probably need to modify what we had down, but we can rewrite our future. There are a tremendous number of opportunities out there. Get with good people, team up, know that it's worth it. It's worth making the investment and doing everything you can to be as good as you can.
Yes, that's those are very powerful. Take advantage. Realize that the world is our oyster, even more so now than ever. There's more possibilities that are out there, maybe different possibilities than we had before, and that life is a team sport, and we should be connecting and seeing who we can serve and identifying new, not only the people that we've chosen to serve, but new people to serve as we're moving forward. All right, so Scott, I think I know the answer to this question, but I want you to say it for our audience. How do we stay connected to you?
Well, you can always meet me in BeeKonnected. That's an easy way of doing it. Or send me an email, scott@scottschilling.com.
All right. Well, yeah, and BeeKonnected. If you're listening to this podcast, maybe on one of the other platforms, and you don't know anything about it, you can reach out to Scott Schilling or myself. Somebody there's it's an invitation-only platform, so you need to be invited. But it's not like we're a bunch of snobs or a country club. We basically are wanting people who are intentional, and we do exclude the trolls. So if any trolls are listening to this podcast, don't bother. But for those that are looking to really make a difference, make an impact, reach out to Scott on BeeKonnected. I'm sure if you use the connection generator and reach out to him, I'm sure he will accept your connection. He's a 5-star connector and a beautiful human being. And Scott, thank you for being willing to share with our audience. Thank you for enduring the challenges we had this morning to get online. And I look forward to our journey forward. So for those that are listening to us on this platform, we'll be back next week, 11 a.m. Central. We do that every Thursday for the next episode and next Warrior on Warrior versus Zombie. And then we'll hear a little bit more of Ricky Jean Wright. And Scott, again, thank you.
Thank you.
It's not the getting there, it's the journey every day. It's not a race to see how many people know your name. One day you realize time was worth more than the gold. It's not the getting there. When you get there, you'll know. One day you realize time was worth more than the gold. It's not the getting there. When you get there, you'll know.